I'm Alan Spears with Occupied Democrats, and the legendary actor and producer Tom Hanks was a part of an interview with CNN and had a number of different things to say about the state of our country and what a second Trump presidency would look like. Now, in a clip I'm about to show you, Hanks manages to convey in one of the most professional and polite ways possible his personal concerns with Donald Trump and the fact that our country has been through so much and is trying to heal, and how a second Trump presidency is really just going to interfere with any semblance of the healing process. Now, Tom Hanks has a bit of a reputation around Hollywood as being incredibly well liked and very polite and pretty easy to get along with. Hanks has actually been an executive producer on a number of different series, including Band of Brothers and the Pacific, which, if you're unfamiliar, are miniseries based around the stories of veterans during World War II in both the European and the Pacific campaigns. These, along with a number of other different television series and movies, are projects that Tom Hanks is pretty well deeply involved in, and always enjoys showcasing the heroism and the patriotic nature of our soldiers, as well as the sacrifice that they all have to make. It's hard to say that Tom Hanks is anything other than a patriot, really. So when asked about the concerns of a second Trump presidency and any misgivings about moving into the election season, you can imagine he had a number of different things to say, but he's actually not the only one. Now, there's absolutely the image that a lot of the celebrities and actors and all the various people in Hollywood are pretty left-leaning. There have actually been a growing number of celebrities and stars that have come out and vocalized their support for Donald Trump, as well as indicated their more right or central leanings. But I absolutely acknowledge and agree that the majority of Hollywood and the celebrities therein are at the very least left-leaning. Recently, a whole other large group of celebrities came together to denounce Trump and stress the importance of registering and voting this November. And while Hanks wasn't a part of this particular video, his message absolutely aligns to it, though admittedly in a much more civilized and classy response. Take a look for yourself and see what Hanks had to say about a second Trump presidency.
President Biden is also obviously giving his big speeches, and it'll all be in the cloak of democracy. That's what we're defending.
I like
That's what
that.
they
The
died
cloak of
defending.
democracy, sure.
Yeah, and without mentioning, Donald Trump, he will talk about the stakes for America and for the world. Finally, do you worry about the United States in terms of its commitment to democracy and freedom and everything these people died for, if there's another Trump presidency?
I think there's always reason to be worried about the short term, but I look at the longer term of what happened. I think there is a ongoing look. Our Constitution says we, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union. That journey to a more perfect union has missteps in it. We know. I can catalog them as much as you can. And you're a professional journalist, and I'm just a guy that makes movies and reads books.
And a historian.
And a lay historian, I'll take that too. Over the long term, however, we inevitably made progress towards, I think, that more perfect union. That's what it is. And how does it come about? It comes about not because of somebody's narrative of who is right or who is a victim or not. It comes out of the slow melding of the truth to the actual practical life that we end up living. It comes down to the good deed that is practiced with your neighbor, with your local merchants. And I will always have faith that the United States of America and the Western societies that have adopted more or less the same sort of democracy cannot help but turn towards what is right.
I'm always so pleasantly surprised at how Tom Hanks can be so polite and well-spoken. Let's dive into what he said. Now, if I might be so bold as to take up the role as an interpreter of sorts for Tom Hanks's incredibly polite and well-spoken message, it seems pretty clear to me that he is pretty concerned about Donald Trump and what a second presidency would look like. However, there is plenty of reason to be hopeful and optimistic about the future of our country. It should be noted that though Donald Trump has a base of adamant supporters that are probably going to back him no matter what he says or does, Trump's support has only continued to wane, maybe slowly, but pretty steadily. Several of the most recent polls have showed support for Trump waning, if not slightly, but all that is needed for President Biden to win is a slim majority. And like Hanks alluded to, our country does have moments of missteps where we have to learn some hard lessons, but it does ultimately lean towards doing the right thing. But in order to achieve this better union, a more perfect union, as Hanks said, we the people have to go out and vote. We have to do what's necessary to bring our country up. It is a joint effort. It is not the president's responsibility solely to take care of our country. And like Hanks said, our country doesn't improve through the narratives or falsehoods that are peddled by people like Donald Trump and what they say is true and false. Our country improves when we have the slow melting of the truth, like Hanks mentioned. It improves when we can elect someone into power who believes in freedom and who believes in liberty and the pursuit of happiness and embodies the values of our country and doesn't look at the United States as anything more than a business opportunity. But like Hank said, there is absolutely cause to be concerned in the short term. And while I do very much admire his optimistic view of our future, we have to take action now. Donald Trump is a clear and present danger right this moment, even though he has been found guilty on all 34 counts, and even though he is a convicted felon and will hopefully go to prison, he is still dangerous to our country. He will absolutely not go quietly into the night, and it's sad to say, but the more I've thought about it, I doubt even a prison is going to silence this buffoon. And I really do think that's what was on Hank's mind as he alluded to the concern of the short term. Donald Trump, if he enters into power a second time, is absolutely going to seek revenge and retribution on his political enemies, and that should terrify all of us. And it's wild to me that his supporters think that they're somehow maybe immune to his ire or to the damage that he can inflict. I can assure you that Donald Trump will go after you and lock you up just as easily and as quickly as he will us. He's a man clearly driven only by instinct and ego, and so long as you stroke that ego, hey, you're his best friend. But as soon as you cross that line, as soon as you aren't immediately his best friend and immediately giving him all the praise, well, you better look out. But with that said, it is sometimes nice to have a message of hope and optimism, and it's not surprising that it comes from Tom Hanks. I certainly hope and do believe, ultimately, that he is right, that there is a better tomorrow for our country, and that we will overcome Donald Trump.